Tell Me About It is brought to you by Extreme Health Club.
Hi, I'm James Brown here on Tell Me About It. I am with Trevent Hayes, KY Sports TV. I'm with 104 The Score. We are on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, a local channel. You can catch the show every Thursday night live at 6 p.m., even though we pre-record it. So anyway.
I'm glad you put that out there because we slip sometimes.
Yeah. Well, like, we're recording on Wednesday morning. Everything got rained out Tuesday afternoon in terms of local sports, except for Glasgow's baseball game at Greenwood, because Greenwood has a turf field. But if you had dirt, you were not playing, because it was not dirt, it was mud. And it doesn't look great for the rest of the week. We'll see how it pans out. Glasgow was also supposed to have a track meet Tuesday, which got postponed. We don't know when it'll be made up. Glasgow and Barron were supposed to play in softball. That, I think, has been postponed. Maybe we don't know the actual when it'll be played yet. And Barron, Barron baseball was not scheduled to play Tuesday. They're scheduled to play Friday against Monroe County. But
It's supposed to be nice Friday.
Yeah, it's supposed to be nice Friday. But so we may not, as we're recording this show, there may not be much going on before Friday in these here parts, unless you got a turf field to play on. In baseball, though, Barron had an impressive win on Monday. They beat previously undefeated Bowling Green. They were 16-0. They beat them 5-3. I think they got a 2-run home run off of Jackson Reese. That may be the first home run he's hit in varsity baseball. He's so outstanding for him. Joey Myers started on the mound, pitched well. Skylar Potter closed it. They were kind of a good combination last year whenever Barron made their run in the district tournament and won that, upsetting East in the championship game. And so those guys have combined to do well. And then Tristan Meach has pitched pretty well for them. They've had other guys who have come in, but those three are kind of like the leaders in the bullpen, so to speak, for the Trojans.
You said Skylar Potter?
Yeah.
So there's two Skylar Potters.
Is there another one?
Yeah, a basketball player from Warren Central.
Oh, yeah. Wait, is it Skylar Potter? Anyway. I believe that's his first name. But now that you said
I'm
that,
sorry.
I started thinking to myself, dadgum, did I just mess up this kid's first name? If I did, I'm sorry.
Apologies to you.
Yeah. Anyway, they've done well either way.
Good.
They've got a win there against Bowling Green. Barron had a 4-game win streak going. They won 3 games, I think, before they went to Florida and won their first game down there. And now they lost their last 2 in Florida. But they played a tough schedule to start the season, so their record was not great. I think right now they are 7-8, but they've played a really tough schedule. But they had that good 4-game win streak, and a win over Bowling Green is always an impressive thing, no matter what the circumstance is. And then also on Monday, Glasgow beat South Warren 9-8. The statewide baseball polls, I don't even know, PBR baseball or something like that puts these out, I believe is who it is. And Bowling Green was number 11 and South Warren was 25 in the poll that came out earlier this week. So they both beat top 25 teams in the state. Glasgow beat South Warren 9-8. It was kind of I don't know if they had any home runs hit, but it was kind of just a scrappy game. Mason Bass started on the mound, and I think Peyton Limley closed it. And South Warren came back and tied the game 8-8. And then Glasgow got the walk-off win in the bottom of the 7th, I believe it was, is the way it worked out. And then they came back Tuesday night, played over at Greenwood, played a 9-inning game, ended up losing that game 3-2, but another heck of a battle for the Scotties. So right now the Trojans and the Scotties are playing pretty well in baseball. They've both seemed to have found a rhythm, and that's a good thing. They could be dangerous as the season goes along. You know how it is in baseball. Who's on the mound probably makes the biggest difference. So you'll see them probably lose some games, and you'll go, I thought they were better than that. Well, they both have their top end pitchers. And in the softball world, Barron County struggled down in Florida. They did come back Monday and ended up beating Butler County 16-6. And as I said, they were supposed to play Glasgow on Tuesday. Glasgow ended up losing Monday to Grayson County 6-3. Grayson put up, I think it was 4 runs in the top of the 7th, and just finally started. Memphis Prophet pitched well until that point, and I don't think she pitched poorly then. They just finally made some contact to the ball and hit it in the gaps as it happens. So she actually did a pretty good job. Glasgow, pretty scrappy. They've been playing better lately, even though they don't have the wins to show for it. But they've played some better teams close, and I think Memphis Prophet's been pitching pretty well. Jakiley Green's played pretty well, both at shortstop and at the plate. So it's looking a little better. I don't know much about the Caverna report. I did have Peter DiStefano, the Caverna softball coach, on the Brown Sports Bag last week. If anybody wants to go back and listen to that. It was a good, honest conversation talking about trying to build the program, developing pitchers who've not really pitched varsity before and that kind of thing, and just teaching them how to play softball. He's a good coach. I think as the season goes along, we'll see that improvement from them.
Yeah, they've struggled.
Yeah. But, what do you expect? You've got a bunch of kids who are playing new positions or have not really played a whole lot.
Right. The baseball team's still struggling.
Yeah. Kind of the same thing there, probably.
Right.
Trying to develop some guys who can pitch, most importantly.
Right.
Anything you can think of from the world of high school baseball or softball?
No.
All right. I guess we'll take a break right here and come back and talk about some of the trivia let's talk about.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Introducing the Glasgow EPB customer payment portal and mobile app. With our new sleek and user-friendly payment portal, managing your Glasgow EPB services has never been easier. And if you need to make a payment on the go, our new mobile app lets you pay your bills with just a few taps. The Glasgow EPB customer payment portal and mobile app, because managing your Glasgow EPB services should be as simple as flipping a switch. Visit glasgowepb.com/billpay today to sign up and download the app.
We're back here at Tell Me About It. Trevin Hayes, the non-cutout James Brown. Did you know we're going to have a cutout made for you?
Oh, that'd be good.
So when you're not here?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like when COVID was going on and they had
You know
to
what
put
we're
cutouts.
going to get when you're not here?
Don't stop.
We're going to get some pillows and stuff them with hay.
With hay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what are you saying, James?
Nothing.
What are you saying? Guy
You
takes
get a potato to put on top.
guy takes a week off and comes back shaved and
Yeah, well, it's allergy season, man. The next stop is to get a haircut. Once allergy season starts, man,
you average what, 2 haircuts a year?
Yeah, I usually tell people if you don't see me in 6 months and I didn't like the haircut.
Okay, college basketball.
Yeah. Where are you starting on this one? There's a lot to get
Well,
to.
before we even get to the tournament, we're going to talk
yeah.
about the hottest topic out right now.
Okay.
John Calipari leads
Where Rob
Kentucky.
Dillingham will go in the NBA draft. That's the hottest topic?
Probably 18th.
Okay.
Probably.
So that's not the hottest topic?
No.
I thought that's what everybody was talking about.
No.
What's that other thing they're talking about?
Yeah, the guy that was walking his dog and declined the interview. But you know what's funny was he's walking his dog with the stroller, but the dog's walking behind him.
Apparently, the dog's very old.
Yeah,
Apparently, it gets wore out.
Oh.
he loves attention. Calipari loves attention. And he knew what he was doing. Richmond Road's one of the busiest roads in Lexington, outside of the New Circle Drive, but you still have to get off New Circle basically to get to Richmond Road. But anyway, so he felt the need to walk his dog in the middle of the afternoon with everybody watching his house like a stakeout. and he wanted to decline the interview. And, for a couple of days, he didn't have anything to say to the fans. What I've been waiting to say, and I've not said it to anybody, but what I've been waiting to say is Kentucky fans are hilarious to me.
Oh, yeah?
Beyond hilarious. For a year, all they talked about was give Kenny Payne a chance. Give Kenny Payne a chance.
He got two.
He got two of them. 2 whole years of chances. Mm-hmm. And then they mocked Louisville for who they were trying to hire as a coach, laughed at Louisville wanting to go get Scott Drew. Now they're trying to go get Scott Drew. The rumor is they're going to offer Hurley $11 million a year. Why would you leave UConn and go to Kentucky, honestly?
I mean, there are reasons, but...
Give me a good reason.
Well, I mean, the one thing that Kentucky fans have right is Kentucky is Kentucky. And Kentucky basketball, men's basketball, is like Alabama football. It's both a pinnacle job, sort of like probably Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. Those are all pinnacle jobs, and they still are.
How dare you compare Kentucky basketball to Alabama football? Alabama football wins national championships.
Well, here's the comparison is this.
The expectations may be the same.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying is a person with an ego who has the ego to coach a men's college basketball and have the ego to drive themselves to try to win a national title is the same person who has the ego that says, I can go there and do that.
Okay.
So Danny Hurley's done it at UConn, but UConn is still not Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. UCLA used to be on this list too. I'm just not sure that they are anymore.
Right.
They've been too far gone from being discussed and in contention.
Right.
So you used to have 5 schools on this list in men's college basketball. So going back to Danny Hurley, winning at UConn is great, but is it the same as winning a national title at North Carolina or Duke or Kentucky or Kansas?
But
when it comes to ego.
In the last 20 years,
Yeah.
the last 20 years, who is the number 1 men's college basketball program in America?
It is not UConn because even though they've won the national titles, they've also missed tournaments.
It doesn't matter, but you play for national titles.
Yeah, okay, but my point is the ego. The ego of the person is what drives them to go to this job, nothing else. I mean, because
I could be wrong. Believe it or not, I am wrong every once in a while. I know it's hard to believe.
Well,
but Kentucky is opening the door for him to continue winning at UConn and having the biggest contract as a head coach in America. Because UConn is going to pay whatever it takes to keep him at UConn.
I'm sure they will, and that does not change what I just said. It's not, sometimes it isn't the money necessarily. Yes, you've got to have a commiserate contract that will be at that level, but it's about where you are.
So you think Kentucky is the most attractive job in America?
No, but let's go back to this.
Okay.
What I think is irrelevant. It's what these coaches with the egos think.
So you think Hurley has that type of ego?
If he didn't, he wouldn't be winning national titles.
You don't have to have an ego to win.
Yeah, you do.
You don't.
Look, you have to have enough ego to believe that you can do it, and then enough ego to then execute it. Meaning, you have to overlook a lot of things. You have to have that self-assurance. You have to have enough ego to believe you're capable and then to execute it. And that does take ego. And then once you've done it twice, you look around and you say, well, what if I did it there? I'm not saying he's taking the job. I'm just explaining why he would. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
So let's talk about why he wouldn't.
Why he wouldn't is because he's proven he can do it at UConn. And
Back-to-back national championships.
But, again, like I said, yes, UConn's won national titles, but they've had stretches where they've not even made the tournament.
Right.
Over the last 20 years.
Okay, so enough about Hurley. So now Scott Drew was a joke when Louisville was pursuing him.
You spend too much time on the internet.
No,
that's what I say.
Well, okay, you spend too much time reading. I told you I don't like to read, so I have to watch it. So it's the same
No, I
difference.
just mean watching people engage in
It's
these
not.
fan bases.
It's not engaging. This is coming from national sports writers asking why would Scott Drew go to Louisville?
I
Why
also
would?
don't read them because they don't write about real things.
Well, that's a matter of your opinion.
It is not my opinion. It's
What
my
if people?
ego.
What if people thinks that
My
you don't
ego
write
is that
about anything?
They probably do because I don't write enough. But that's beside the point. My ego says that they don't write about good things.
Anyway, so now they want Scott Drew.
Well, of course they want Scott Drew.
But what has Scott Drew done to prove that he's a great coach?
Trolls like to hide under bridges and wait for somebody to walk across and they can jump up and pop them on the head. But if it's another troll, guess where they stay? Under the bridge.
Right.
These people who do these things, they're just trolls.
But why would their
If I was
own
Kentucky-
Patino because his early exits out of the NCAA tournament.
Calipari.
I'm sorry.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, I slipped something. I told you I make mistakes. 2 in 1 day is a rarity, though. Their own Calipari for his early exits out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that he should have won more with the classes that he's had coming in? Probably so. But again, it goes back to 18-year-olds playing against 24-year-old grown men. Mm-hmm. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. That's just like in high school, you could have 5 of the best freshmen in the state of Kentucky. They're not going to beat 5 average seniors in the state of Kentucky because they've got that experience.
So the biggest problem with Calipari is he appeared not to adjust when the world changed. That he stayed on the same path he was on because the most important thing to him was he had proven if you come through here, it's a path to your professional career. Mm-hmm. And that's what was important to him. And for most of the time there, he could even have threatened to win national titles and that kind of stuff with that philosophy.
But the fan base loves that we put out 5 first-rounders every year.
Well, until you start losing in the first round every year, and then things change. But,
Right.
Because in the end, Kentucky, like Alabama, the expectation is, are we winning a national title? Ask Gene Stallings what it's like to coach at Alabama. That's what I mean by that being the same
Didn't he die?
expectation. Yes, recently.
I can't ask him.
Well, I'm sorry. Get your seance together and go ask him. But I mean, the point.
I know.
So, back to the Scott Drew and people wanting Scott Drew. He's just the name that people are gravitating toward at the moment because of his name's Scott Drew, and they think that means something because the Drew family is sort of like the Hurley family when it comes to basketball. I think there's only one right answer for Kentucky.
Are you still going to make us wait, or
No, I think it's Nate Oates.
he's not leaving?
I think he's the only right answer. Oh, yes, he would leave Alabama.
You think
Why?
he would?
Why not? Give him the money. He elevates out of the shadow of the football program to where basketball is king.
Basketball is not king at Kentucky. That's all I've been hearing too. Is we're a football school now.
It's not a football school. I mean, I don't care how long they say it. It's just not.
Right.
The most important thing to the boosters and the fans is what the men's basketball team does. Period.
Winning.
Heck, their baseball team's really good. They don't care. Their softball
So
team's
do you
really
think
good. They
Nate
don't
Oates?
care.
So after Nate Oates has already made his statement of he's not leaving Alabama, you think he'll renege?
I will say revisit Bobby Petrino in every stop of the world, and you know exactly what coaches say and do are not the same.
I was having a great day until you brought him up.
Well, I mean, he's the consummate. I lied when I wasn't on that plane flying to Auburn.
Right.
I wasn't on that motorcycle with that girl.
Right.
This didn't happen.
Well,
I mean, coaches say in the moment exactly what they believe, and then somebody calls them up and says, well, what about $11 million? And they say, oh, gosh, dog, at Kentucky? Yes.
but would you want you as an individual and your ego? If you were a college coach, would you want the headache of coaching at the University of Kentucky?
I'm delusional enough to believe that it does not matter, that as long as I win, it's not a headache, and I can win. Because I've proven it, I've gotten to the Final Four with Alabama. I mean, yes. I mean, that's exactly it. If I had been so inclined as an editor of a newspaper and had decided that I wanted to move my family all around this country, I'd have pursued those jobs. Because I believed that I could go to a newspaper and make an impact. They believe the same thing. The biggest thing, the reason I didn't is because I don't want to move my family because they weren't paying me $11 million to move.
Well, I understand that. I've come to the conclusion after the last 4 weeks, the two worst fan bases in college basketball are the University of Louisville and the University of Kentucky.
They got to be up there, but
they're ranked 1 and 2.
But you are in Kentucky, so
who's won?
If you were in North Carolina, it'd be North Carolina.
It's a tie. It's a tie for first. Yeah. It's a tie for first. And I am a diehard Louisville fan, but I had to remove myself from groups of Louisville fans because these guys, some of these guys that even have podcasts now and do shows, they've never dribbled a basketball a day in their life.
Yeah.
And so they have no, I mean, it's like, I don't know. They're delusional.
I will say this. I've never listened to Matt Jones because I just don't. I mean, I'm not enough into Kentucky sports to be concerned about what he talks about most of the time.
Do you know why Matt Jones is such a non-Calipari fan?
I have no idea.
Because he never would do an interview with him.
Well, we'll say this. The only time I have listened to Matt Jones' show on purpose was the first hour from Monday just to see what the reaction was. I didn't want to hear the fans call in. I didn't care about all that. I know he's connected to the program and people around him, not the program per se, but
how many Roll Tide Willies do you think UK has?
I have no idea, and I just don't. See, I don't listen to Feinbaum either because I just don't like that stuff. Do you know
who Roll Tide Willie is?
Yeah, I just don't like that stuff. I mean, I'm not interested in it.
He don't give a piss about nothing but the tie.
Well, I mean, it's just, I just don't.
How many UK Roll Tide Willies do you think there are out there in the world, Aaron?
Yeah, I agree. There's probably hundreds.
Yes.
But that is going back.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the cats.
That passion for that program solidifies my argument about Danny Hurley to start with, because there's not that passion around UConn's program. There probably is around Duke and around North Carolina, around Kansas, but there's just not. And that is an infectious thing, to have that feeling of power where you have these people.
But what happens when the power crumbles and they start sending you death threats?
Well, then you put a little missive on X and say, this is why my wife and I decided it was time to move on.
I mean, I just think, I don't know.
I guess after 15 years. Just think about this. He's been there longer than anybody other than Adolph Rupp.
Right.
That's kind of incredible. I really didn't think he'd make it past 10 years. Because that is his tenure at Kentucky, Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama, at this point, are the outliers. They're probably the last of their breed.
Last week, the athletic director tweeted out that he had a conversation with Coach Cal, and that he would be their coach next year.
Also, I believe it just as when he tweeted it, he believed it. I do not subscribe to the idea that this came as a surprise to Barnhart. I subscribe to the idea that they had the conversation last week or 2 weeks ago where Barnhart told Calipari, we are not going to buy you out. But he probably already knew he had flirted with the Ohio State job. Otherwise, that story wouldn't have come out. And what he said that was, but if you feel it's time, you're free to look around.
But did you really think that Arkansas would come from nowhere? Did you think that's where Coach Cal would
Arkansas
end
wasn't
up?
on my radar. No.
What do they say? Suey pig?
Yeah, something like that.
Pig suey?
They say just don't date the volleyball intern, is what they say.
And he's back.
I know.
He's back.
It's the criminal conspiracy in Arkansas, but hey.
But I guess when you have the money that the Waltons and, is it Tyson Chicken?
Yes.
You can go buy whoever you want.
That's right.
Cover it up.
Yeah. You.
I heard they got Petrino a new Harley.
They got him a neck brace and a Harley.
Have you seen the picture? Have you seen the picture?
Which one of him?
No. of Coach Cal with the neck brace on.
No.
Oh, I've got. As soon as we take our next break, I'm going to show it to you.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious.
All right, there are funny people in the world, but you still spend too much time on the internet.
Well, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Pig suey, is that
people-
right? No, I see Kentucky fans. I'm telling you, I see Kentucky fans on Facebook that were lifers that are now going to be Arkansas fans. So to me, they were not fans of the University of Kentucky. They were fans of Coach Cal.
They also were not lifers. They were 15-yearers.
Yeah.
They just felt like lifers
Felt
because
like
15
lifers.
years has been a long time.
Well,
There'll be people who will jump off.
let's shift it real quick.
All right.
Let's shift it real quick. Women's basketball.
Uh-huh.
South Carolina, hands down, the best team in the country all year.
Yeah, they were like UConn on the men's side.
Right.
They had a couple of near misses, but
But they didn't miss.
no, they didn't.
They didn't miss. And to do what Dawn Staley did, to lose everybody basically, no starters,
Yeah.
to come back and not only win a national championship, but an unblemished record.
You know, the interesting thing about them is they got the two freshmen who came in. They had the Pow, the transfer. I think they had another
She's from
transfer.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but if you look at their team, it was almost like, I mean, Camila Cardoso was there.
Right.
There were two or three others who were there. Raven Johnson was there.
Raven Johnson was there. And Raven Johnson, before we move on, Raven Johnson, did you know she lost 30 pounds from last year to this year?
No, but she got embarrassed last year, so she decided to make a
And
change.
she did the embarrassing this year because I think Caitlin Clark scored 6 points when she started Gardner.
Yeah.
So she got the last laugh out of that when Caitlin Clark was waving her off. And
Yeah. I mean, that's
Doing
good.
those antics.
I'm proud of her. But that's what I was going to get at. What happened there is the combination of two things. One is they had players in the waiting, and they waited for their turn at South Carolina
instead of transferring.
instead of transferring. And then they brought in the freshmen who were freshly
Johnson.
recruited. Yeah,
The little
Johnson.
number 5.
Flo Wiley. Flo Wiley, is that her
Flo
name?
Wiley.
Malaysia. Flo Wiley. Yeah, that's it.
She can shoot.
Yeah, Flo Wiley. So those two freshmen came in, and then they had a couple of transfers who watched them play last year, which I thought was a funny story, and said, I can help them. So it was kind of a mixture. And then the way Dawn Staley runs her program is there's nothing guaranteed. You gotta show up, you gotta perform. And the best thing I thought about all the people who have come to women's college basketball in the last couple of years with Caitlin Clark's exposure is that they stuck around and watched a title game this year with a team coached by a coach who,
One of the best players ever.
one of the best players ever, but also just they got to see Dawn Staley. They got to meet Dawn Staley, and they got to hear from Dawn Staley. And I hope that is what really came out of this. Because last year, they got to hear from Kim Mulkey, and she's not an ambassador for the game.
She's not.
She's a reason to not watch.
Some people were saying UK needs to go get Dawn Staley.
Well, hey, they couldn't miss with her.
If you were going to be the first Power 5 to do so, that's who you would want to do it, I think.
She's going back to that ego discussion, though. I think she's set. I mean, she'll be at South Carolina until she's kind of a Pat Summitt or a Gina Auriemma in the sense she'll be there until she decides she's not coaching anymore.
So do you think the big girl from Iowa leaves? Do you think she transfers out?
I have no idea. Look, here's the thing about Iowa basketball. You know
They'll
how
never
much,
go back.
You know how much we'll care about it next year?
None.
0.
None.
Because nobody cared about it until the last couple of
Until
years.
Caitlin Clark, yeah.
I mean, because they never made it to the Final Four. They were not. That coach has been there forever. They've been a solid program, but they've never been at the top tier. I go back, like I said, the thing about Caitlin Clark is I enjoy watching Caitlin Clark play. I can't stand the way she responds to not getting foul calls and flopping around and all that jazz. I think that detracts from her actual game. I think the biggest thing that will translate to the WNBA is her court vision and passing. She's not going to be that kind of offensive scorer.
She's not going to score.
But as a point guard in WNBA, look at those passes she makes.
Right.
And she's going to be passing to people who can handle the ball.
Right.
So-
And I know some of the WNBA players, she's going to be playing next month.
Yeah.
They start next month.
Yeah.
It's going to take her a while to transition to the WNBA.
But court vision and passing, they go everywhere. The shooting, the physical stuff is the thing that she'll have to catch up with. But her ability to pass the ball it'll be an immediate impact, I do believe.
All right. Well, we're going to take another week off.
We'll take a break till next week.
Till next week. Lance Russell and Dave Brown, so long. That's Memphis. It's Memphis wrestling.